So in today's video, we're going to look at some of the more bizarre operations of the US military and intelligence in Vietnam. The Vietnam War was marked by unconventional tactics and covert operations, many of which have since come to light, revealing the extent of the US military and intelligence agencies' efforts to gain an edge in the conflict. This video we're going to explore some of the more bizarre and unusual operations carried out by the US during the Vietnam War, showcasing the lengths to which they went to achieve their objectives. Project Eldest Son, or Operation Wandering Soul. Project Eldest Son was also known as Operation Wandering Soul, and it was a psychological warfare operation aimed at exploiting the Vietnamese cultural beliefs. Now, the US played eerie sounds resembling traditional funeral chants from aircraft to create the illusion that the souls of the deceased soldiers were haunting the living, and the goal was basically to demoralize and disrupt enemy forces psychologically by exploiting their cultural and spiritual beliefs. Whether this worked, I suspect it didn't. The next one is Operation Igloo, Electronic Battlefield. Operation Igloo White was an ambitious attempt to turn parts of the Ho Chi Minh Trail into a high-tech battlefield using sensor technology. The US dropped thousands of sensors equipped with microphones and seismic detectors across the trail to monitor enemy movement. This project was aimed to create a virtual fence of sensors, but its effectiveness was limited by logistical challenges, harsh environmental conditions, and the enemy's ability to adapt. And I also suspect technology played a part in its failure as well. Project Acoustic Kitty, Espionage with Felines. Project Acoustic Kitty is probably one of the most bizarre and infamous examples of animal espionage. The CIA attempted to turn cats into covert listening devices by implanting microphones and transmitters inside them. The idea was that the cats would move around the urban areas, recording conversations. Unfortunately, the project proved impractical due to the unpredictable nature and behaviour of cats and the risk of them being hit by vehicles. The operation was deemed a failure and was abandoned. I'm not surprised, in all honesty. Operation Chase is herbicide warfare on cannabis. In an unusual twist, the US military attempted to combat enemy forces by targeting their crops. Operation Chase, also known as Cut Holes and Sink 'em, involved dropping herbicides on marijuana fields in Cambodia to deprive the enemy of a source of income. The rationale was that reducing drug production would weaken enemy resources. However, the operation faced logistical challenges and had limited impact on the overall conflict. Operation Popeye, Weather Modification. Operation Popeye, as previously discussed, involved weather modification through cloud seeding to extend the monsoon season and disrupt enemy logistics on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. While it's not a bizarre concept, the audacity of attempting to control weather patterns for military advantage remains an unconventional and controversial aspect of the US efforts. And many conspiracy theorists believe that's still going on now today. The Vietnam War was characterized by unconventional tactics and creative strategies as the US military and intelligence agencies sought to gain an edge over the enemy. The operations highlighted here, whether eerie psychological warfare, animal espionage, or unconventional weather manipulation, reflect the lengths to which both sides went in their pursuit of victory. Now, while some operations were more successful than others, They collectively illustrate the complexity, innovation, and often strange nature of warfare during this turbulent period. During the Cold War, there were all kinds of things being investigated and tried, things like remote viewing, all kinds of paranormal stuff were being investigated by US intelligence agencies to gain an edge in the Cold War against communist and Soviet forces. And we've just highlighted some of the just a few of the bizarre ones. If there's a real good rabbit hole you can go down and investigate some of the really strange and bizarre stuff that intelligence agencies and the military were doing in America at this period. And it wasn't just America. The Soviet Union were also trying some of these more strange paranormal things to try and get an edge over America. And it was just a period, from sort of the 50s through to the 70s, where they pretty much tried anything. There was funding given for some really odd stuff. And there is a film that kind of sort of touches on this. I think it's called Men Who Stare at Goats. It's a great film. I highly recommend it. It's quite amusing when you actually watch it. And yeah, it was just really a bizarre period in where they were just trying some really strange stuff for a competitive edge in warfare. Some of those things I touched on now, such as the sensor fence on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, might actually work better now with better technology. We're talking, it probably failed because of technology just wasn't up to the good. Well, basically, just wasn't good enough to actually work in that environment. And today something of that along that sort of that sort of thing might actually work now, because we obviously technology improved, and we can make that technology probably withstand the environmental conditions better. Anyway, that's all for this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.